G'day, and thanks for dropping in today. By this point, we're well aware of the consequences of drought, fires, floods that the pandemic can have on a world. As Aussies, we like to battle our way through them and shake it all off when it's over. However, spiritual writers through the century have taught us that what's happening in the outside world can also be happening in the heart. Shortly after Thomas Aquinas died, his fellow Dominican, Meister Eckhart, said, "3 kinds of tribulation may beset someone and assail him in this land of exile. First, misfortune occurring to outward good. Second, to our relatives and dearest friends. And third, to ourselves, dishonour, hardship, pain of the body and the heart's distress." We've seen the first 2 of these, misfortune of our goods through droughts, fires and floods, and misfortunes to relatives and friends and our fellow humans through the great pandemic. But today I'd like to reflect on the misfortune that happens to ourselves. Just as a pandemic afflicts the world at this time, the same thing can be true of ourselves and our souls. We can be beset by trials we cannot shake, we can feel hurt or degraded by others, and to drive ourselves into isolation. We can also spread the infection of vice and corruption, share gossip and degrading talk, and live habits of sin or tainted example. What happens in the outside world, in all its terrors from natural disasters to man-made conflicts, economic battles and social phenomena, can also happen in the space of our hearts. So how can we apply what we've learned from the coronavirus response to ourselves? What process of healing after crisis? What have we learned from the way the world has responded to infection and threat? How can we respond fruitfully, safely and humanely to what happens in our own hearts? I think it's a common human tendency, at least I've seen it in myself, to shut ourselves off when our heart is distressed or our soul is in turmoil. If we look around us at what's happened when everyone in the world shuts themselves off, or when they were besieged and in turmoil from the COVID-19, we can see that this cannot be an absolute. Even in the case of protection, it's still important to keep in mind the essential relational needs of our lives. This is only one example, but demonstrates a comparison between the cosmic drama of the world and the drama of our cosmic souls. Diseases, natural disasters and social turmoil come, temptations and personal corruptions will come, heartbreak is going to break, and the world will keep on spinning. This is not a time when we forget about the heartbreak. Even as restrictions are lifted, it's not time to move on without learning from this. So let's reflect on how the response that the world has had to these experiences might be lessons for us to respond to the same experiences in our own lives. We can read this in Jeremiah 14:18-22. "If I go out into the countryside, there lie those killed by the sword. If I go into the city, I see people tortured with hunger. Even prophets and priests roam the country at their wits' ends. Have you rejected Judah altogether? Does your very soul revolt at Zion? Why have you stricken us down without hope of cure? We were hoping for peace, no good came of it. For the moment of cure, nothing but terror. Lord, we acknowledge our wickedness and our ancestors' guilt. We have indeed sinned against you. For your name's sake, do not reject us. Do not dishonour the throne of your glory. Remember us. Do not break your covenant with us."